Starlink is a satellite internet constellation operated by Starlink Services LLC, a wholly owned subsidiary of American aerospace company SpaceX, providing coverage to 80 countries. It also aims to provide global mobile broadband. They're part of the private venture that's the brainchild of billionaire and SpaceX founder Elon Musk. It was launched on May 23, 2019. The mission went smoothly. Based on initial data, the company asked regulators for its fleet to be allowed to operate at a lower altitude than originally planned, and the FCC agreed. The first 60 Starlink satellites launched on May 23, 2019, aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. SpaceX started launching Starlink satellites in 2019. As of early March 2024, it consists of over 6,000 mass-produced small satellites in low Earth orbit that communicate with designated ground transceivers. Nearly 12,000 satellites are planned to be deployed, with a possible later extension to 34,400. SpaceX announced reaching more than 1 million subscribers in December 2022, 2 million subscribers in September 2023, and 3 million subscribers in May 2024. Satellite constellation. Starlink consists of thousands of small satellites orbiting the Earth at altitudes between 340 kilometers, 211 miles, to 1,200 kilometers, 746 miles. These satellites are much closer to Earth than traditional geostationary satellites, which help reduce latency, delay. User terminal. Customers receive internet access through a user terminal, which is a phased array antenna dish. This dish communicates with the Starlink satellites passing overhead. The internet communication satellites were expected to be in the smallest class of 100 to 500 kilograms, 220 to 1,100 pounds mass, and were intended to be in low Earth orbit, LEO, at an altitude of approximately 1,100 kilometers, 680 miles, according to early public releases of information in 2015. In the event, the first large development of 60 satellites in May 2019 was 229 kilograms, 500 pounds, and SpaceX decided to place the satellites at a relatively low 550 kilometer, 340 miles due to concerns about the space environment. Initial plans as of January 2015 were for the constellation to be made up of approximately 4,000 cross-linked satellites, more than twice as many operational satellites as there were in orbit in January 2015. The satellites move fast and travel the entire world in 90 minutes. Every 90 minutes, they return to the same point, but a little further away. That's why sometimes you can see them again within 2 hours of a previous sighting. The satellites employ optical intersatellite links and phased array beamforming and digital processing technologies in the Ku and Ka microwave bands, super high frequency to extremely high frequency, according to documents filed with the US FCC. While specifics of the phased array technologies have been disclosed as part of the frequency application, SpaceX enforced confidentiality regarding the details of the optical intersatellite links. Early satellites were launched without laser links. The intersatellite laser links were successfully tested in late 2020. SpaceX has made applications to the FCC for at least 32 ground stations in the United States, and as of July 2020 has approvals for 5 of them in 5 states. Till February 2023, Starlink used the Ka band to connect with ground stations. With the launch of V2 Mini, they added frequencies in the 71 to 86 GHz W-band or E-band waveguide range. A typical ground station right now has 9 2.86 meters, 9.4 feet antennas in a 400 meter squared, 4,306 square feet fenced-in area. According to their filing, SpaceX's ground stations would also be installed on-site at Google data centers worldwide. Each Starlink satellite uses 4 powerful phased array antennas and 2 parabolic antennas to provide increased capacity. Efficient ion thrusters powered by Krypton enable Starlink satellites to raise in orbit, maneuver in space, and deorbit at the end of their useful life. Starlink's standard residential service is $120 a month for unlimited data. Additionally, priority data packages cost $150 to $1,500, and equipment fees range from $599 to $2,500 depending on the plan. Starlink's internet speed can reach up to 300 megabytes per second, whereas traditional satellite internet providers typically only offer speeds of up to 100 megabytes per second. With Starlink's service, users can stream videos, browse the web, and download files much faster. You get a huge blue box like this when you get your Starlink. Inside the box, you get a few things. your Starlink itself, or the phased antenna array, the Starlink base, the 75-foot Starlink cable, the power cable, and the mesh router itself. The mesh router is well built, looks edgy, and is almost like a Cybertruck in terms of design. The wires are also quite sturdy and they get the job done, but you don't want to damage them. Regarding documentation, you get regulatory notices and a quick setup. First off, you want to make sure you've downloaded the Starlink app on either the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. On the app, you'll get the option to either order Starlink if you haven't already, or start setup. Plug the right end of the 75-foot cable in. For many people, Starlink is already plugged in from the box, so you're good on that front. Since it comes with a base, you'll fix it to the base properly, and once it's in, plug its end into the router, and then plug the 75-foot cable into your router. Turning it on should give you a white light underneath the router, which means Starlink is powered on and ready to go. You'll create your network name and password and then join that network. Starlink is motorized and self-orienting, so it should automatically calibrate itself and face the sky when it shows the booting screen. After about 15 to 20 minutes, your Starlink should be online. As a warning, you don't want to move or tilt your Starlink manually. Let it do that itself. You must also ensure that you do not touch or try to turn on the Starlink antenna with your hands. It is run by motors and should automatically calibrate to find the closest satellites. If you try to turn it manually, you may damage the motors inside, which is not what you want. You also need to scan the area for the best possible position to mount. Pro tip, you should mount your Starlink router to the roof because according to the official guide, Starlink needs a clear view of the sky precisely at 100 degrees field of view. If you're mounting it to the roof, you need to use the tool in the Starlink app that scans the sky right there on the roof and at the position where you'll be mounting your Starlink. So physically being present on the roof where you mount your Starlink and scanning the sky will give you the most accurate result. You can also have the person who's installing it do the scanning for you. According to Starlink's official documentation, you can connect up to 128 devices to your Starlink mesh router. Remember that the higher the number of people that connect to your router, the slower your internet speed becomes. Starlink offers 3 major plans, from the basic Starlink Residential to the RV plan and the highest Starlink Business. The other plans include the special and quite expensive plans for maritime and aviation setups. The significant differences between these main plans are self-explained by their names. The RV plan is for those needing to move around a lot or travel with their devices. The Starlink Residential plan is for people setting up an internet service in their homes. A residential plan is restricted to a 15-mile radius within the location you registered your router. However, you can also get the portability option for an extra $25, which allows you to go outside the radius and still get decent speed. Moving your residential router outside this 15-mile radius might get you less internet speed than advertised. Can Starlink work without electricity? Well, the answer to that question is no, it can't. Your Starlink router requires constant power to run. Starlink has no battery that keeps it running when the power goes out. Almost everywhere in the world, high-speed internet is available thanks to Starlink. When it's time to relocate to your next location, Starlink packs up fast and establishes a connection in a matter of minutes. Service can be paused and resumed at any moment. Because payments are made in 1-month increments, you can tailor the service to meet your specific travel requirements and enjoy the internet without accessibility like never before.